We're back, baby. We are so back. We're not just back. We are back on an 8-1 level. The Canucks, I don't know if you guys were paying attention. Canucks came into this offseason, as a fringe playoff team that underperformed last year. They were expected to get around 92 points. They got 83, and things weren't good. They fired their coach. They bring in Rick Tocchet, and things are going to be somewhat different. They get some new faces. Pius Suter, Lafferty, Phil DiGiuseppe's got a full-time spot. A bunch of stuff's going to happen, but is this Canucks team actually going to be able to hang with a true contender, right? The Edmonton Oilers, every odds maker has them third or fourth pretty much to win the Stanley Cup. They're one of the favorites in the NHL, probably the favorite to come out of the Pacific. They didn't look like it tonight. And part of it was that Edmonton didn't look great. But a big part of it was that the Canucks looked different tonight. Like, they looked genuinely like a team that, again, I don't buy into coaching hype too much. And Rick Tocchet was never a guy that I was hyped about. And it's just been one game, with the full preseason and everything. This looks like a team that's buying in. The physicality was one thing, but the stick work and tenacity and the 8 goals, I guess, helps. The Canucks just played really, really good hockey tonight. Like, just really good hockey. That's all it was. So I figured, why not bring it back? Let's have a good little conversation here tonight. This might not be an every game thing. I might be doing some videos after some games. We'll do some streams after some others, but let's all gather around and just discuss what we witnessed on this beautiful first day of the season. I came into this game thinking, I was a little scared. I was excited. The last couple of days, the excitement was building up. Yesterday, I was watching the Bedard game and a bit of the Kraken Golden Knights game, and I was getting a little bit excited. I was like, all right, the Canucks play tomorrow. This is going to be fun. It's going to be a fun season. And then I remembered that usually these seasons aren't that fun. So coming into today, I was sort of sweating it a little bit. I'm like, we'll do a stream. We'll see what happens. I don't know if the Canucks are going to, it's the Oilers. They're going to be a really good team. And we were going to be happy if they went out and won one of these 2 games against the Oilers, this week. I did not expect what we saw tonight. On a bunch of different levels, right? You can see I've got all the goals next to my head. And one thing that's really nice to see is the names that you see scoring here. They're all top 6 names except for Dakota Joshua, which, again, your top 6 scoring is fantastic and nice to see. So let's go through this game. We'll talk about it. I've got a lot of stuff to talk about after we get through the recap, so we'll keep the recap kind of tight, kind of tidy. We do have 8 goals to talk about, so it might not be super tight and tidy. We also got a new chat machine. So chat is back. That app I was using that was broken is now working. So we're ready. We're ready. We are so back, as everybody's saying. All right. The game started off pretty fun. I was stressed out early. Noah Juleson got burned by Kulak, like very beginning of the game. Like, oh boy, it's not good having this Hirose-Juleson pairing. I like Hirose. Juleson scares me a little bit. You're getting burned by Brett Kulak. That's not good. But then Pius Suter makes a really good breakup in the slot. There's a scrap between Dakota Joshua and Desharnais. Joshua, he scores this goal late. He has the scrap early on. I can sort of see where Rick Tocchet was coming from in saying that he needs to pick it up a little bit. That roster spot's not locked down as of right now, especially with how physical the rest of the team is being, and they're sort of taking a bit of that thunder off of Dakota Joshua, and sort of being physical by committee. You see Elias Pettersson throwing the body around, which is nice to see. Joshua needs to be a little better, I think. First penalty of the season goes to Tyler Myers. And it is a classic Tyler Myers, puck over the glass, just no notes, right on script. Pretty good kill, honestly. I mean, you're against what was the best penalty or best power play in the league last year, 30+%. I was scared that entire power play, but Canucks did a really good job of getting sticks in lanes. This was a really big key tonight, was how active their sticks were. They were getting everything, or they were breaking up lots of passes. It was fantastic. And the Canucks come back with an unreal goal to start the season. If you had Connor Garland on your bingo card as scoring the first goal of the season, I don't believe you. But Elias Pettersson, just just the sauciest of sauces, like 4 feet in the air, gets it so it lands right at the defender's stick, making that so hard to break up. And then just one little hop, lands right on Garland's stick. And then what a move in tight by Connor Garland to pull it to the backhand. You couldn't even tell on like the live broadcast from the main camera, like how it went in. You thought, oh, he just like chipped it through. No, it's a sweet move by Connor Garland. You get after that, Elias Pettersson running over Cody Ceci. A little bit of a charge, but that's okay. And then Brock Besser. And this is why Phil DiGiuseppe is on your second line, at least to start this season. Great play, forcing the turnover down low. They didn't give him the assist at first. They gave it to him after, rightfully. JT Miller, nice little backhand pass. The Oilers are sort of in a box formation with Brock Besser right in the middle of it. And that was a vintage Brock Besser release, that first goal. He takes it. He's facing JT Miller, which is the corner. He takes it, uses the puck to sort of pivot himself around and gets a quick release off. And I mean, the placement on that shot, you can't get any better. He got enough velocity on it. It was a great shot. Just a vintage snapshot. Brock Besser, fantastic. 2-0. And then one thing I really liked, Sam Lafferty early in this game. He wasn't super noticeable throughout the whole game. He had a couple of really good plays though, and one of them was in the first. He sort of gets this like lackadaisical nothing burger zone entry that happens a dozen times a game, right? Other people are changing. He's just carrying it into the zone, trying to kill a few seconds. Most guys would do that. They'd dump it deep. They'd go for a change. Sam Lafferty instead goes in slowly, and then he drives. He drives the corner, drives to the front of the net, gets the puck to the net, and draws a penalty. Like it's perfect. It's exactly what you're supposed to do. I love seeing that from Sam Lafferty. And look, it's the first game of the season. Guys are going to have their effort levels pretty high, but that was a big theme across the board for the Canucks, was having high effort levels and not really sitting back on any plays. JT Miller takes a penalty at the very end of the first period for sort of a hold on McDavid. It was a scary power play, that second Oilers power play, but Demko holds strong. The Canucks keep everything to the outside. McDavid that power play is so scary. And the Canucks, after that power play is over, they just go score again. Philip Hronik, great shot as they, on the zone entry, gets dropped back to him. Rebound goes to JT Miller. It sort of pops in the air. Besser sort of does a little reach over and just taps it to make sure it goes in. And it's 3-0. And then Besser gets another one like 3 minutes later on the power play. And it is a snipe by Elias Pettersson right at the foot of Brock Besser, and it sneaks 5-hole on Jack Campbell. His night is over. It's 4-0. Natural hat trick for Brock Besser. And it's 4-0. That's fantastic. Oilers answered right away a minute later. Really dumb penalty by Dakota Joshua, and that's what I was getting at earlier. I didn't love his game tonight. Takes that penalty on Draisaitl, and then Draisaitl scores from the goal line, which I don't know how he scores so often from there, but he's so good at it. So it's 4-1. And then the Canucks, again, less than 3 minutes later, they bounce back. There's a power play. Evan Bouchard holds Phil DiGiuseppe, sort of chicken wings his stick. And then Elias Pettersson just rips it. There's a double screen, and the goaltender went one way, the shot went the other, so it's 5-1. Oilers had all the pressure for the last 5 minutes of the second period, but the Canucks get out of that unscathed. Third period, Besser gets his fourth. He's just in the right spot at the right time. Quinn Hughes, his shot hits a man. It bounces right to Brock Besser, who's on the back door, sweeps it home. 6-1. JT Miller gets one to make it 7-1. Demko comes out. We'll get to that. Joshua made it 8-1. So that's the recap. That's the big part. Let's go into my pluses and minuses, and then we'll go to you guys, the people. And maybe we'll start on the minus side because there's very few of them. One, Thatcher Demko coming out. Rumor was, it looked like DeSmith was ready to come in, is what they were saying on the broadcast. Like there was no like, oh, he's hurt, and then you sort of like they pan in on the backup goalie, and the backup goalie's like, do I put my helmet on? Do I come in? Do I help? Like, what do I do? He was just ready. He went right in and held his own, which was great. Didn't allow a goal. And people were saying, well, maybe they were just planning because it was a big lead. The Canucks have had a bit of a flu going around. A flu, maybe. Who knows what it is? And maybe Demko just, they said, all right, hey, it's 7-1. We're just going to pull the plug. Maybe they all grouped up at a commercial break, said, hey, maybe we just pull the plug here in a few minutes. Casey, go stretch out a little bit, and then we'll put you in for the last 10 minutes or so. I'm hoping that's the case. Demko battled injury last year. They cannot afford to have him be injured this season. So hopefully it was just a quick little swap out, get him a little bit extra rest. It's going to be a long season, and Demko's probably going to have to start, 57 games this year if the Canucks want a chance to make it. So hey, if you can take 10 minutes off of his game here and there when you're up 7-1, might as well, right? Makes a ton of sense. The other minuses, Noah Juulsen, it wasn't huge for me. I'd actually like to see analytically how Noah Juulsen did before I rip into him too much. Let's take a look at Canucks on the ice at 5v5. And I'm going to pull up the old expected goals for machine. And why don't I show you what I'm doing here? Wow, look at this. Noah Juulsen was the worst on the team when he was on the ice. 0.06 expected goals for, 0.85 expected goals against, for an expected goals for percentage of 6.18 at full strength. And Hirose was just 20%. So that pairing wasn't good. Fair. Oh, the music started again. That pairing was not good enough. You need Susie to come back. And who knows how long Hirose stays up. I mean, they didn't get a lot of ice time. They got a bit, but they weren't very productive. So that's one of my minuses. My last minus is, what is this new Canucks slogan? This "Come on, let's go." What is that? It's just terrible. All right. To the pluses. I've got a lot of them. Brock Boeser. I mean, come on. Brock Boeser, are you kidding me? 4 goals, 2 of them being great, right? That first goal, fantastic. Second goal, pretty good also. The third and fourth one were just, again, right spot, right time. Actually, the second one was, I'm getting them mixed up. Either way, 2 of them were pretty nice. I like the backdoor being in the right spot. One of them was that little reach and tip. The other one was off his foot. But being in the right spot at the right time, I give him a ton of credit for. The Pettersson one off of his foot, I don't. But the one that he swept from the back door, that's just smart hockey. And that's what Boeser's been doing really good at. Even when his shot hasn't been there, his play hasn't been that great, he still had 55 points last year because he knows how to be in the right spot. He retrieves pucks fairly well, and he's a pretty smart player. So if this is the resurgence of Brock Boeser this year, oh, I'm so excited. I don't want to get too excited off one game, but he looked really, really good tonight. I noticed early on the Canucks were getting a lot of passes into the Oilers' crease. There's the Pettersson one to Garland that they scored off of. And there was a few that the Canucks were just like, if they didn't have a play, they would just have a guy going to the net or going to the back door, and they would just throw it into the crease. And the Oilers weren't doing a great job of actually breaking that up. See if they adjust when we come to Saturday's game. But it really worked as a bit of a methodology. The Canucks were playing pretty hard-nosed hockey and forcing the puck to the net if nothing else was there. Thatcher Demko, again, he didn't play the whole game. He came out for DeSmith, like I mentioned, but he was very, very good. Very, very, very good. How many shots did the Oilers end up with? What was our number? 27 shots for the Edmonton Oilers. Stopping 20, I guess he didn't face all 27. He faced 22. So stopping 21 of 22. Bravo. Masterclass from Thatcher Demko. And what helped a lot, again, barring one of the pairs and Tyler Myers with that penalty, but he didn't have a lot of super dangerous chances to deal with. He had a few, but I mean, McDavid and Draisaitl were pretty well negated, right? They have that 1 goal on the power play, but even then, hey, you held the Vancouver Canucks, went 3 for 6 on the power play tonight, and they held the Oilers to 1 for 4. The Canucks tonight, so far, 75% is better than they were last year. Not saying much, but against the Oilers, if you're only allowing 1 power play goal against the Oilers, you're probably having a pretty okay night because they score 1/3 of the time. And again, a lot of that is just stick work. I feel like so many of their passes, I don't know if this is just early season sloppiness from the Oilers, but so many passes that they tried to get through, they just couldn't get through. And I think that, it says a lot about this penalty kill, at least to start the season. Again, I'm wary, very wary, but they looked good. Power play looked good. I mean, 3 for 6, nothing to complain about there. Bodies were being thrown around, and just the active sticks in general the whole night were really good from the team. This team just looked like they showed up to play. Looking through the roster, again, Besser with 4 points, all goals. JT Miller, a goal and 3 assists. Elias Pettersson, a goal and 3 assists. So those 3 guys all get 4 points. No one else has more than 2. So those 3, your stars, essentially, came out and performed. Kuzmenko gets an assist. PDG gets an assist. Höglander, Lafferty gets his first point as a Canuck as well. Oh, and not to mention Quinn Hughes getting 3 assists and Filip Hronek getting 2 as well. Filip Hronek starting the season as a +4. Quinn Hughes is a +3. Tyler Myers is a +2. Ian Cole's a +1. Hirose and Juleson were not out for any goals against or for. So they, unless they were power play or penalty kill, but I don't think they were out for any of those times. So overall, pretty good performance from the Vancouver Canucks all around. Folks, it is time to get to the people. Those are my ramblings. Those are my thoughts. We've got the new chat machine. This is a little bit tough. I need to turn off this one filter that's pushing me to the bottom automatically. All right. Let's go to the people. I will try to take any questions or interesting comments that I find. David Kuderna says, from the start of the game, I was noticing some great defensive play. Edmonton kept trying to break away. Vancouver kept taking away the puck. Yeah, they were solid. Like again, any rushes were being well defended. The forwards were coming back pretty well, especially when you guys have guys like McDavid and Draisaitl rushing up the ice, and then they still have some dangerous guys that they can drop the puck to. That was very good from the Vancouver Canucks. What else do we got here? Reginald says, I'm so hyped for the season. Why does this game have me loving the makeup of this team? Tocchet is good? 3 question marks. Yeah, I don't want to get too in deep on one game, but it was a big win. It wasn't like they snuck one out. And they did look like an entirely different team. Like Pius Suter, I thought was really good. I really liked his game tonight. 76.9% in the faceoff circle. Excellent. PDG looked really good too. That one play that caused the first Besser goal was very good. Höglander, I didn't see much from, but again, just like Lafferty looked pretty good. I think Beauvillier had an all right game as well. It wasn't really impactful, but and then Filip Hronek I thought was really good also. The Canucks just seemed to be playing pretty tough, which was nice to see. RP saying, so happy for Brock, looks more like himself, more confident in his shot and good movement. Yeah, his movement has been pretty good so far this year. Andrew LD saying, which player do you think played really well that didn't score tonight? And you were mentioning Lafferty, Suter, or Joshua. Wasn't big on Joshua, but I think Pius Suter had a really good game, and I'd give some credit to Lafferty as well. Lefty all arounds, giving some credit to PDG and Suter as the best players who didn't score tonight. Last Resort saying, my prediction for Hughes to have 203 points isn't looking so bad. What is he on pace for? He had 3 tonight? So he's on pace for what, 240 something, 246. That is, you're under at this point. What else do we got? Agam saying that Save on Foods got bailed out today. I don't know if it counts on national broadcast, but they should have to pay the $100K that you get for 4 goals. Hope saying the Miller line looks dangerous. I think they look pretty good. I was very skeptical about Phil DiGiuseppe coming in, just because he's not your prototypical second liner. He's 30 years old. He's never really made it in the NHL. But if he can fit in, and that Miller-Besser line or Miller-Besser pairing, if they can both perform, it's a really good second line if you've got those two playing at a high clip. Lazarus was saying, if you're up 7-1 that often, I don't think Demko need to play 57 games. That's not what I meant when I said the times you are up 7-1. I just mean, hey, every minute's going to count through the course of this season. And yeah, without Susie, that bottom pairing was a bit weak for sure. Sam Wu saying, will EP40 still be a Canuck by the trade deadline? If they play like this all year, then yes. And I think he will be after the trade deadline anyways. He could be an RFA and they could sell his rights. He will be a Canuck by the trade deadline. I'm very sure of that. Scott saying, best part of all this was Brock Besser smiling like he used to. Yeah, you sort of think back to the times when you've seen that smile. It hasn't been a lot lately, but he looked like he was having fun. The laugh that he had when Pettersson banked it in off of him. I mean, what else can you do there? That was fantastic. Agam and Last Resort agreeing here. Agam saying Hronik looked really good. Looked so good and comfortable. Last Resort saying Hronik is really good, which is awesome. Yeah, no, they were great. Philip Hronik was great. Very, very steady. Again, we were not really wanting, and I say we as in myself and most of the people I've seen and Clay on Canucks After Dark. We were a bit nervous about putting Hronik and Hughes together. You look at what Pittsburgh's doing, where they have Erik Karlsson and Chris Letang, and they're like, great, these two guys, we can cover 50 minutes a night with them, right? You have one of them out there for half the game or for 25 minutes, the other one out there for another 25 minutes. You put X rookie defenseman with them or whoever you've got. And the Canucks don't have that luxury. They need to put Hughes and Hronik together. The thing is, if they're able to produce, then who cares about defense if you're scoring 8 goals a night? Canuck is saying it helped that the last Oilers power play was cut off by the end of the game. Sure. Was it? Yeah. I guess it was only I don't know how long that penalty was. How long it actually lasted. I think. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong period here. It was for 51 seconds. That's enough time for Draisaitl to score. All right. Wesley saying that Hughes says that Demko's sick. That sucks, but good to hear at the same time. Let's see here. Symphonia saying the whole team looked good despite playing one forward short. I agree. It wasn't noticeable. The Canucks really took it to them. Just agrees saying, do you think Brock is going to score 30 goals this year? He has a heck of a head start, right? He scored 23 2 years ago and 18 last year. His career high is 29, right? But let's say that 23 years what we're going off of. Well, he only played 71 games that year. Last year only played 74. If he can play a full season and he has a 4-goal head start already, I definitely think he could, especially if the things we've been hearing are true. If he genuinely is feeling better and healthier and his wrist feels good and if he can have a release like he did on that first goal, I see no reason why he couldn't, especially if he's playing with JT Miller all year. Keep in mind, Miller got 99 points and 82 points last year, maybe 81 points, something like that. He gets all those points giving the puck to somebody, and I don't think PDG is going to be the main guy receiving those pucks all those times. Hagam says, can we talk about how terrible that VIP lounge looks? That does look really dumb. I agree. Last Resort says, do we finally have a legitimate top pairing on defense? Yes. If they stay together, we definitely have a legitimate top pairing D. Problem is that Ian Cole Soucy is your second, or Myers Soucy, or whatever you do, Myers Cole. You sort of have a 2.5 pairing and then a 3. I think that second pairing could really use another guy, but obviously they don't have that luxury. Vince saying, despite the scores, most impressed with the sticks and lanes. I fully agree with that. That was a big part of their game. Steve says, how many seasons will the Canucks dynasty last? Well, I mean, they're young, let's not get ahead of ourselves, but hey, if they play every game like this, there's no reason this team's not a contender. They won't play every game like this. Trust me. We know better than that. AMD saying, will the team be even better with Soucy, Bluger, and McCabe in the lineup? They will, but keep in mind, this is a team that has notoriously been injured constantly. You might get Soucy back in the next couple of, next week or two, maybe 3. Bluger seems to be, just around the corner. Mikheyev, I would imagine he probably doesn't play Saturday because they get another 2-day rest after that. Maybe Mikheyev plays next Wednesday, or is it Saturday, Sunday, Monday? Next Tuesday, the Canucks play after the Saturday game. Maybe they give him the extra week of rest till then, and that would be nice. But this team is going to have guys filtering in and out all year. It's just the way it goes. RP88 says, which line was the best tonight for you? It's an interesting question. Part of me wants to say that Suter line. But I think you gotta go with the Miller PDG line, and Besser. Arthur saying the Canucks have a big chance to get more than 90 points this season. I think that's about what they're around. Most projections have them in the 90 to 96 range. I think the Athletic had them at 92.4, if I remember correctly. They have a good chance of getting to 90 or above 90. It really, again, just depends on how they play. On paper, they seem okay. If they're playing like this, then they're going to be a good team. It's just whether or not they keep this up and how often. I'm saying Demko flu game. I guess so. Though not like he was really the reason for the Canucks winning this game. He only had to not allow 7. But yeah, good on him. By the way, hey, Connor Garland looked pretty good tonight, eh? That one goal, he was doing some spins in the corner. He had just the 1 point, and he only played 10 minutes. He did leave the game in the third. I remember that video I made that maybe not all of you watched, that maybe you should, where I said the Canucks should not trade Connor Garland. I stand by that. I vehemently stand by that. Knox Talk saying that Ian Cole was so good tonight. He was good. Honestly, I didn't really notice him all that much. And he played 22 minutes. He was a +1. He had a penalty, 2 hits. Kind of steady Eddie back there. I was pretty happy with his game. Sanders saying thoughts on Höglander. He only played 12 minutes. He didn't have a huge impact, but I thought he looked fine. He didn't make any egregious mistakes for my eye. Zach saying the best are also standing tight to the goalie, blocking the view on 2 goals. Yeah, he definitely was a part of that. I know the Miller goal, I think that was the 7-1 goal. He was part of the screen on that. Last resort saying one thing I do still think will be the issue. We don't look that fast out there. That's true. I don't think it's a big deal if we're talking about the Canucks being a playoff team, because I think they kind of play a decent playoff style. At least they did this game. But they're not fast. They're definitely not very fast. They got a couple of fast guys, but they're not that fast. Man, I'm only halfway through the comments. There's 220 of you guys in here. Thank you all for joining. Make sure you're subscribed, by the way. If you're not already, hit like, do all that good stuff. What else do we got? Peter says, thoughts on Miller today. Obviously, the narrative's still going to be, did the team make the right choice choosing him over Horvat? I don't think that's going to last long. Miller looks really good. Again, everyone's problem, including mine, the problem with Miller was defensively. He looked okay tonight. He didn't stand out. I mean, he took that one penalty, but it was Connor McDavid that he held, and he might have stopped a goal. Who knows? NHL.com only has him at 4 points tonight, by the way. But hey, he had a good game. I'm very happy with how Miller played. Symphonia saying Bear would look good on the second or third pairing once Soucy's back as well. Yeah, it does sound like the Canucks are going to end up bringing Ethan Bear back once he is healthy, which would have to be December, I think, is the timeline on that. But there keeps being these little things about Ethan Bear coming up. So who knows? Maybe that will be the case. I would love that. I really did like Ethan Bear. Let's see here. Jackson 5 says, why was Draisaitl so pissy? He just is. That's just Leon Draisaitl. He gets a little frustrated. He's good enough to get away with it too. Let's see here. Peter says, pay Petey picked up 4 points like it was nothing. He just looks good. He's just always looks so impressive. I think he gets 110 points this year. He's just so good. So good. Slaps his thoughts on the Joshua fight. It's not like he won it. You know, it wasn't much of a fight. He got tackled. I like the tenacity. I like the heart to go out there and you know, drop the gloves and get involved. And I think it might have helped the team. But those are sort of things that can help both teams. I don't know. I don't know if it makes a big difference. But hey, he knows that, you know, he doesn't necessarily have a roster spot locked down, right? When Mikheyev comes back and Bluger's back, like is Joshua an everyday NHLer right now? Like in this lineup, they have so many wingers. Who knows? You know, that might be what he's fighting for. Let's see here. Peter says, can't get overly excited, but it was a nice tone setter for the season. Absolutely. Edmonton will come up with a vengeance on Saturday. I would think Edmonton wins on Saturday, to be completely honest. But hey, you know, if they can start the season 2-0, they're in a nice little spot to start this year. Chris says Myers not fantastic, but passable. I think that's Tyler Myers in a nutshell. Slap says, you think when Mikheyev comes back, he'll replace PDG on the Miller line? I still think Garland's the odd man out. They're going to keep Pettersson and Kuzmenko together. They're going to keep Miller and Besser together. DiGiuseppe, remember, also had a great game tonight. I think they envision Mikheyev playing with Kuzmenko and Pettersson. I think that's where he ends up. Last one said, how did you feel once the Canucks got the lead? Last year, I was constantly scared whenever the Canucks had leads because they kept blowing them. Then it felt comfortable. It wasn't comfortable until the 5-1 goal. Besser made it 4-0. Draisaitl made it 4-1 shortly after, and it's a 3-goal lead, but the Canucks had a 3-goal lead when they played the first game last year. I was a little nervous until Pettersson made it 5-1. Then I was comfortable. I'm never comfortable when this team has a lead. Let's see here. Last year, saying the Canucks are going to get 164 points this year, probably. Jackson then says, what do you think of Garland with Petey? They looked good tonight, but I don't really think they fit together. Yeah, I think it's going to be Mikheyev. I don't think he needs to be a long-term solution there. I think he ends up on that third line. And I think he'll be a really good fit on that third line. Moral says, good morning from Austria. Thoughts on special teams tonight? They were good. PK looked really good against a very dangerous Edmonton team. Like, Draisaitl scored his stereotypical goal from the goal line. Good for him. Special teams was good. Power play was good. Everything was good. All right. We're getting close to the bottom of the list. Thank goodness. Last word saying not noticing Ian Cole's a great thing. Absolutely. Symphonia says, thoughts on Hughes, Hronik, Susie Bear, Cole Myers, second and third pairing interchangeable. I like Hughes, Hronik. Susie Bear sounds good. Again, you're not getting that till December. And then Cole Myers. Yeah, it's not a bad third pairing. Again, everyone's got to be healthy for that to be the case, though. Last resort says, did you like Kuz's game tonight? I thought he wasn't good tonight. Yeah, he didn't really stand out. He didn't have to, though. I think if we start nitpicking guys who underperformed, and it's one thing with a guy like Joshua where he's sort of on the edge of being in the lineup when everyone's healthy. Kuzmenko's not, right? Kuzmenko is going to be on that top line with Pettersson for most of the year. He didn't have to be good tonight. And I think, even if he took a bit of a night off, he didn't have to be great. So I'm not too concerned. Peter says, do you think the Canucks have found themselves an identity? An identity can't be built in one day, but it's a heck of a start. It's definitely a heck of a start. It's exactly what you could have hoped for from this team. I think it's better than you could have hoped for from this team. The fact that it wasn't the 8-1 that was, like, again, it's great that they beat the Oilers 8-1. I love that. It's fantastic. It's not my biggest storyline from this game. My biggest storyline is 100% the tenacity and the stick work and the physicality and really, what we were, what if you had to envision Rick Tocchet coached hockey, they did that to a T tonight, and that is great. I think they need to keep that up. I need to see 10 games before I'm sold. Because they could easily come back the next couple of games and be their old selves and second to pucks and then fall apart a bit. So definitely a perfect start though. Let's see here. Blitz says, beat up on Robson in June. Absolutely. That would be fantastic. Sam says, if you have to bet, will the Canucks make the playoffs this season? If I was getting even odds, I would bet that the Canucks will make the playoffs this year. If I was getting like 40 to 60%, probably not. I think the Canucks, I would pencil them right into that 55 to 60 range. And a big part of that is the Central Division not being very good. The Central Division, there's a real chance only 3 teams come out of that. I had a tweet yesterday that essentially, third in the Central, third in the Pacific, and the 2 wild cards are essentially up for grabs, right? We know who the top 2 teams in the Central will probably be. We know who the top 2 teams in the Pacific will likely be. So there's essentially 4 spots there. And there's really only 5 teams in the mix for them. There's a couple on the outside. Nashville's on the outside. But that's pretty decent odds for the Canucks. They're not the best of those 5 teams. So yeah, I'd say 60%. would be where I'd put them now. If they play every game like they played tonight, 90%. Jazz says, why were the Canucks missing a winger on the fourth line? Bluger was hurt. He could not go, and the Canucks didn't have any cap space to add anyone to the roster. Just the way she goes. Unless they could have put Bluger on LTIR, but then you'd have to miss basically 24 days and 10 games, I think is the rule, which he's not going to. Then you can add that cap space back, but the Canucks obviously couldn't do that. So they just had to roll with 11 forwards. Wuhan says, should they trade Garland for D? I don't think you can. I don't think his trade value is high enough. I think he's better than other teams would pay for him. So I think you're kind of stuck with him. Nanaimo Shoe Repair saying Petey's pass to Garland was incredible. Absolutely. Let's see. Okay, I'm finally on like the last grouping of messages. So if you're gonna get a message, and you better do it now. RC says, what happened to Demko? It seems to be flu related. So don't worry too much. Why is this moving around here? Yeah, Höglander can't go to the AHL. That is 100% true. Japan Forces is exactly what we need to play every night. Absolutely. So how you doing? Says, I think Besser had some lucky bounces in this game. Just one good goal, but he's playing better. Here's the thing. That's fair. He did only have one like really good goal. That was like a goal scorer's goal. The goal where, he scored 2 goals just being at the back door of the net for a rebound, right? One was the rebound that popped up and he batted it in, where he gets the stick on and he beats the goalie to it. The other one is being on the back door when a puck hits a man and bounces over there. Being in the right place in the right time is part of scoring a goal, right? That I don't think we should discredit that too much. Sure, they weren't all 4 just elite shots, but no one's going to score 4 goals on elite shots in one game because, goalies are still going to save them 80% of the time. So yeah, he's not going to score 4 every game, but it's a great sign that he's in position to score at least 3 of the goals, one being a fluke. And it's just good for him. Angam says the Oilers aren't going anywhere with these 2 goalies. Here's the thing. Jack Campbell, I mean, he wasn't terrible, right? That Garland goal, I mean, sweet move in on him. Like, he was hung out to dry. What are you going to do there? Like, maybe you make that save, but you're sliding over. The Garland brings it the other way. The Besser shot was a great shot. Maybe he could have got the glove up, but again, it's a great shot. The second Besser one, where it was just a scramble and he bats it in. I mean, that's not, again, you kind of want the goalie to get there, but you can understand when he doesn't. And then the one that goes off Besser's foot and in, I mean, yeah, the goalie's moving away and it opened his legs up. I don't think Campbell was that bad. I think Skinner didn't play great. And Skinner, I thought, was going to be their starter. I'm surprised that he wasn't. So that is interesting. Vince says they'll likely bring up Stanika on an emergency recall this weekend if Bluger's a no-go. Again, I think they have to have the cap space to do that, especially since they're using LTIR. I think running 11 forwards isn't the worst thing in the world if you need to do it. Vince also says, my post games are great. Thanks for the content. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Zedric says, hello. 1 game sample size with the D squad that we deployed today. How do you feel about them when under pressure in the D zone? I thought they looked fine. I'm not big on Juleson, and the analytics show that if you go back to the beginning, his expected goals for while he was on the ice was like 6% at even strength. But I thought Hronek and Hughes were very good. I thought Cole was good. I thought Myers played fine. Just that Hirose-Juleson pairing is a little bit scary for me. What else do we got? Last word saying Skinner was legit awful in the playoffs. Campbell was better in the postseason and preseason. Yeah, I guess that's fair. I don't really pay attention to the Oilers. I just look at last year. Campbell wasn't very good, and Skinner was pretty good, and that's sort of all I have to go off of as not a big Oilers guy. How long have we been doing this? We are 40 minutes in. There's 230 of you in here. I think this might be my second most live at once in a post game. So thank you all very much for joining me. We'll take a couple more questions and then we'll wrap it up pretty soon here. By the way, if you're here, hit the like button. We're at 61, 62 now. We can break 100. We got 230 of you in here. Let's go hit that like button and hit subscribe if you're new here, and the notification bell. My plan for those of you while I'm here for this year, I plan to stream a bit. I don't think I'm going to commit to a stream after every game because it just burns out after a while. I'd like to do a video after most games though. Do the streams every once in a while, maybe like Saturday nights or, some big games, and then do videos on some other ones and sort of get a good balance going. And then that way, because Tyler's saying commit, if I commit, then it's too easy for me to not do it. So I think I'll stream more if I don't commit, if that makes any sense. Dylan says, who is the best new player you saw tonight for the Canucks? I think it was Suter. I really liked Puce Suter's game. Him and Lafferty, I really liked their games. And they didn't appear on the score sheet. I mean, Lafferty had the one assist on the... which did Lafferty get an assist on? The Joshua goal at the end. Okay. So he didn't really have an impact offensively. I just thought they played really good. And I think that having them in your bottom six is really useful for this team. Zedric says, hopefully you don't have any prolonged losing streaks. I know for the live stream, it's hard to do. It definitely is. It is exhausting to do. Absolutely. Agam saying, thoughts on the crowd taunting the goalies? I love it personally. Oh yeah. When you're blowing them out, go for it. I mean, have some fun. I think, it's hockey. If you don't want the crowd to taunt, you make the save. Zedric saying that Lafferty showed pretty good return for the 5th round pick. Absolutely. I made a video on this on Sunday. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you go to watch. I love that trade. And I liked the trade, not knowing much about Sam Lafferty, but seeing him play tonight, that penalty he drew, and it seems to be really lame to be glowing about a penalty that a guy drew. But how many times have we seen Canucks players not do that? Right? How many times have we seen a Canuck player skate in nonchalantly near the end of a shift and just dump it into the corner, give possession up, and get off the ice? He put in the effort to turn that into something. He skated hard to the corner, made the defenseman turn, made the defenseman follow him, and then he made a hard cut to the net and made the defenseman take a penalty so he couldn't tuck it in the far side. That's just... It's so basic, but it's so good. Just everyone should do that. I love it. GDD says, is this a different team? That's my fear. It's not a different team, but there's been a lot of turnover. Coaching, half the roster's different, really, right? I mean, let's look at the lineup. Who wasn't here last year for the most part, right? Sam Lafferty wasn't here last year. Phil DiGiuseppe played, I think, 30 games, but he wasn't a regular, and he wasn't on that first line, so we can take or leave him. Puce Suter, Anthony Beauvillier wasn't here last year. I'm thinking, start of the year, Bo Horvat being gone, and then you look at the D. I mean, there's two names here that were really a part of this team last year, right? And that's Quinn Hughes and Tyler Myers, not Noah Juleson. Hronek, Hirose, Juleson, and Cole, and I'm not big on Juleson right now, but they weren't here before. Casey DeSmith and net, 5 for 5, great. And the different coaching staff and having guys, like Adam Foote on the bench, I think it'd be really big. So it does seem to be a little bit of a different team. Tyler also says this Brock Besser wasn't here. That seems like it might be fair. Peter says, thoughts on Elias Pettersson playing more physical, going back to last season. Great to see, especially the fact that he's getting stronger and stronger. Yeah, he wasn't afraid, He was just throwing the body around. Only credited with 2 hits, because a lot of them were just finishing his check. The guy would make the pass, and he would just make his presence felt. He'd go make the check and then move on. I think that adds a lot, because it's a team that you need to lead by example. I'm sure that Rick Tocchet is going out and saying to these guys, hey, you're leaders on this team. You need to go out there and the other guys will follow you. So if you are, let's say you're farther down the lineup, right? Let's say you're Niels Höglander. Let's say you're, even Anthony Beauvillier or Noah Juleson or Akito Hirose. And you see Elias Pettersson, your elite scorer, going out and throwing the body on guys. And he's not a big guy, but he's going out, he's putting the work in. He's chasing guys down. He's finishing his checks, right? Are you going to be the guy that isn't doing that? Like, what's your excuse at that point? I really like that. Again, he's not going to be hurting guys. It's not going to make a big difference. But it's going to get him more involved, and hopefully it gets the rest of the team going, as well. And with that, folks, we're 45 minutes in. And I hate to do this with 200 of you guys here, but I think we should wrap this up pretty soon. It was a great start to the season. Like a great start to the season. I mean, you couldn't have asked for much more. If you enjoyed the stream, make sure you like, hit subscribe, do all that good stuff. What a game. 8-1. 8-1. I mean, who saw that coming? I didn't see that coming. If the Canucks can win on Saturday and start this season 2-0, my hopes will start to get really high. So thank you all very much for joining. Hit like, hit subscribe, do all that good stuff. You can follow me on Twitter, ParkersPucks. I tweet throughout the game. I try not to tweet too much, just things that I notice or silly tweets like Brock's going to score 70 or whatever I'm thinking at the time. Just come hang out over there. I guess it's X now. Thanks, Elon. What else? Canucks After Dark, Monday nights, 10 p.m. You're welcome to come join us there. We'll have a good show next week. Next week will be at 10:30. Yeah, make sure you're following along. It's going to be a fun season, I sure hope. Yeah, I'll catch y'all next time. Have a good one.